What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, in this video, I'm going to do another one about the welterweight division and talk about the second tier of the deepest division in boxing, the welterweight division, and something that Danny Garcia wants the winner of Adrian Broner versus Manny Pacquiao, man. So I guess it's official that Danny Garcia is officially partially retired, man. Now, unlike Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, who got no reason not to be trying to get with Errol Spence Jr. or I guess since people want to make it mandatory for Errol Spence to talk about fighting top-ranked fighters, you can go ahead and throw in the fact that ain't nobody acting like they want to fight Terrence Crawford either. So it seems so. Danny Garcia, let me get into what he said. Is an article that came out with Boxing Scene. Now, I got to put a caveat on this. I want to credit Boxing Scene. However, it's kind of hard to, seeing as I caught them cats plagiarizing a video that was done by the Cornerman Radio when they talked about Jarrett Hurd versus Errol Spence being a possibility. They didn't credit the Cornerman Radio when they should have credited the Cornerman Radio. So I'll just assume that this was actually given to Boxing Scene. But since they're not in the business of crediting, online interviews and claiming to work for themselves, I don't know for sure. But I had to put that in there, man. That was, anybody from Boxing Scene listens to this video, that article about Jarrett Hurd and that article about when Jarrett Hurd said that he could see a fight with Errol Spence down the road. That's a direct quote from Barzini on the Cornerman Radio. So shout out to the Cornerman Radio. And if this quote came from somebody other than Boxing Scene, please forgive me. You can email and let me know who it was that got the interview. Now, let me go through it, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about it. This is by Keith Idec, so I trust that Keith Idec might be a little more reliable than the last cat. Danny Garcia will watch with a critical eye when Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner box in a couple months. The former WBC welterweight champion hopes to get a chance to fight the winner in late 2019. The Pacquiao-Broner bout will be announced soon, probably for January 19th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Philadelphia's Garcia discussed facing the Pacquiao-Broner winner with other options with boxing.com. BoxingScene.com. I want a rematch with either Porter or Thurman. I feel like I want to redeem myself with those. I feel like it's something I need to do before my career is over. But the winner out of Pacquiao-Broner, I think that would be a great fight for me too. I think it's actually, name-wise, Broner and Pacquiao have big names, and I have a big name. So I think it would be a great promotional pay-per-view fight, either or, whoever wins. The 39-year-old Pacquiao, who won the WBA World welterweight title, the regular title, the WBA super title is the actual belt. Here I'm getting in the middle of this. Don't be confused. The WBA World welterweight title is not I guess the best way to refer to that is it is an eliminator belt, or it would say who the mandatory should be. It's basically a high-ranked guy in the WBA. It's not the WBA Super, who is the title that's held by Keith Thurman, who is the actual WBA welterweight champ. But that aside, the 39-year-old Pacquiao won the WBA World welterweight title in his last fight, a 7th-round knockout of Argentina's Lucas Matisse on July 15th in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The 29-year-old Broner settled for a 12-round draw with WBO welterweight champion Jesse Vargas in his last fight, April 21st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The 30-year-old Garcia figures Pacquiao-Broner will be distributed by Showtime pay-per-view. Is a fight that could go either way. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Pacquiao's a little older now, and he just throws more punches than Adrian. And I think that's the key. I think Adrian has to keep up with his pace a little bit. But if Adrian can do that, I think he can win the fight. But if he lets Pacquiao outwork him, then I think Pacquiao is going to win. Yeah, and I think that that's pretty much a very fair assessment of what's going to happen between Adrian Broner and Manny Pacquiao. But honestly, man, like I said, these are second tier welterweight fights, man. All these guys are second-tier welterweight fights, and it tells you how deep the welterweight division is when you can have high-quality fighters be in the second-tier fights. You have Danny Garcia isn't holding the belt. He's the former WBC champion. He's not holding the belt. Manny Pacquiao is a former champion. I can't remember which ones that he held when he lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr. He definitely held the WBO belt when he lost to Jeff Horn. But, you know, he doesn't have a real championship belt right now. The WBA regular is not the belt. I would not be surprised, however, by the time that the fight happens between Adrian Broner and Manny Pacquiao, that WBA super title is on the line. Keith Thurman, who is the WBA super champion, has not fought, and it is going to be 2 years very, very soon. And there is no reason in the world why he has not been stripped of that title or been forced to vacate like he was with the WBC. He needs to crap or get off the pot fast. But so there is no champion in that. And then of course I would include in the other group of also rans, guys like Jeff Horn. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jeff Horn was back in the mix pretty soon. I know that he's fighting Anthony Mundine, and I think that's going to be aired on ESPN Plus. So, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was back in the mix for a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. But these are all the second tier. These are all second tier guys. So I really don't have an issue with with the fights happening. Danny Garcia, however, did mention two top tier belt holders in the welterweight division, which were Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. I have no issue with him getting a rematch after they have either one of those guys have a unification fight with Errol Spence Jr. If they beat Errol Spence Jr., so be it. They beat Errol Spence Jr. and then Danny Garcia get a shot at them. If they lose, then Danny Garcia should fight Errol Spence Jr. If Danny Garcia wants to go ahead and try to make a fight with Terrence Crawford, I would take that as well, because Danny Garcia is a better option than any of the fighters that Terrence Crawford is going to face over there with ESPN. I think the guys that he could possibly face, he being Terrence Crawford, are God dog, I'm going to kill this dude's name, Bukakis, something like that. I think he's the number 1 rated guy or the number 2 rated guy by the WBA. I think it's Alexander Bukakis. Forgive me, it's Boost Putin. BESPUTIN. He's the number 1 ranked by the WBA. So with Manny Pacquiao, I would almost bet that this thing is going to wind up Adrian Broner and Manny Pacquiao are going to wind up being for the WBA super. But I ain't going to gamble on that this early. But, anyway, those are the only guys. Boost Putin, Carlos Adames, who's fights at 154 but can make 147 according to Bob Arum, or according to somebody at Top Rank. I can't remember exactly who said that and mentioned the name. And then, of course, there's Aegis. There's a number 4 ranked guy by the WBA, Aegis Kavaliauskas. He can wind up fighting Terrence Crawford. Can wind up fighting those 3 guys. And at this point in time, I think that the Danny Garcia is a better fight with Terrence Crawford. I would obviously, favor Terrence Crawford in that fight, but that would be a good fight for Danny Garcia. But Danny Garcia, is doing what a lot of these guys are doing, man, which is not looking to fight the best fighter. They're going to look for the biggest paycheck, right, at this point in time. And that for him would probably be a Manny Pacquiao fight. It could be an Adrian Broner. It could be an Adrian Broner fight as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But it's just, I don't mind him being I don't mind a fight with Danny Garcia winning those. Danny Garcia fighting the winner of Adrian Broner versus Manny Pacquiao, because at this point in time he's a second tier guy. He doesn't own any of the belts. And, he can do what he wants to do. But, it's I still would prefer him having asked for the fight with Errol Spence Jr. or the fight with Terrence Crawford. But that's not the world we live in right now. We're living in a world of most money, least risk. And with the exception of Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is trying to move up to 147 pounds and go for the kill against Errol Spence Jr., which is definitely a big risk for him. But as I look at the 140, it's still a shame to me though, because there are so many guys at 135 and 140 pounds that Mikey Garcia could fight that aren't necessarily big names, but would be really good fights, man. I think fight with Mikey Garcia versus Josh Taylor, I would love to see that fight. I would love to see Mikey Garcia versus Branachek or versus Regis Prograis. I also would definitely like to see for him to have kept his belts, both of his belts. I hear that he's going to be vacating the WBC lightweight title as well. But I would love to have seen him unify those belts with the winner of Lomachenko versus Jose Pedraza. But it's not to be. So anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.